Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing great. I'm doing pretty good this morning. I got up. I took my ratio edible on a piece of bread with some peanut butter and jelly, and I feel great, and I'm ready to go. And I want to share with you some stuff today, but I want to walk in the house because sarcoidosis is an invisible disease. You can't see it. You can't see it. And I could never see it because it was behind me in my cervical cord. The thing was on fire, and I never knew about it. And so I wanted to talk today about public policy and public servants. You know, the policies that are developed by others, and then how they affect the workforce. It could be city council, it could be at a union negotiation table with the city. There's all kinds of people making rules, and it's not just in the public sector, it's in the private sector. So welcome to my house today. Sarcoidosis affected my muscles really bad. One of the muscles was this quadricep got damaged pretty good. And if you press on it, when I originally damaged it, it could go all the way to the bone. I don't go to the gym anymore. I can't do stuff like that. I could walk for about a mile and I could ride a bike somewhat. It's a terrible disease. I hate to say this, but I have a disgraziata disease for those Sicilians out there. And I'm a little bit strupiato, but I'm ready to go. So here we are. Public policy. You know, when we hire people today and we put them in stressful environments, we have to keep in mind that these are human beings. These are not robots, okay? So when we ask them to do things, we have to consider the impact that's going to have on a human being. When we put rules in place, we have to have rules that that people need to abide by. If people know me long enough, I hate rules. And during my career, I got written up a few times. Some things that were, things that I didn't think I deserved, but I took it and stuff went in my file. But if you find yourself in a position today, I want you to consider some things. You know, one of the things that we're going to be talking about during this series is not just sarcoidosis. It's a terrible disease, but it's depression and anxiety. And I have to tell you something for anybody that's listening. If we think for a second that public servants or people that work in any stressful environment don't suffer from some type of anxiety at a minimum, and who knows what else that people have going on in their life. We have to take that stuff into consideration. You know, one of the things, I'll tell you about some rules. I mean, some people have rules in place that if you smoke a cigar during your career, you could lose your job. Like you could lose your job, to take your job away from you. Take your livelihood and everything because you smoked a cigar. Like, what if you went to visit family and a baby just came in and they were sharing cigars with everybody and everybody smoking a cigar and you smoke a cigar and you get in trouble? What if you were a police officer and you had a very stressful shift where they had rules in place where you couldn't smoke cigarettes and you just happen to smoke a cigarette and you could lose your job for things like that? As ridiculous as it sounds, that's what's happening out there today. We have to stop this stuff. We have to stop this stuff because we're not setting people up to succeed. We're not. And when it comes to depression and anxiety, we have to remember today, what options are we giving people? What options are we giving people, right? Someone comes in, they have a lot going on in their life. They've run a lot of very serious calls lately. And on their days off, they're going to have some options. And most people turn to this. This is what most people turn to. Literally smells like rubbing alcohol. I didn't realize later on in life it was like pouring kerosene on my spinal cord, which was on fire, which was very, very dangerous. So I'm never going to have another drop of alcohol in my life. And maybe towards the end when things aren't over. But I'm not going to let it affect me, and I'm not going to let it affect my health any longer. That's over. I also cut out coffee completely. No coffee. I don't need it. I'm awake. I sleep about 4 or 5 hours a night. 3, 4, 5 hours a night. So these are the options. So if you're in the public, people turn towards alcohol. That's what they do. They turn towards alcohol. Now, if you like alcohol, please don't send me any hate mail or anything. I drank it my whole life. I used to call this was the devil's tool in my life. It almost took my life many times. And so I don't think it's not good for people like me. And if you're using alcohol as your medicine, that's not good. It's not good. Alcohol is not medicine. Alcohol is made to have one or two drinks and enjoy some time together and relax. That's what I think it's for anyhow. And then people can, they can go the pharmaceutical route, but most people, there's a stigma. They don't want to admit it. How are they going to admit that they have some type of mental illness or some type of depression, anxiety? Who wants to have that label on them, right? I mean, I was listening to Pete Davidson. I don't know if anybody's seen his video where he talks about depression. He says, I'm depressed. I'm clinically depressed. I got help. I feel all right. I'm living my life. You should do that too. And I did. That was one of the things that got me standing. By the way, Pete Davidson is a Staten Island kid. I'm also a Staten Island kid. I was raised in Staten Island from the time 3 years old to 11 years old. And Pete Davidson's father died on 9/11. He was a firefighter. So we have a lot in common. And I do turn towards comedy a lot, especially at nighttime, to bring myself some relief. But let's get back on the subject. So what are firefighters, police officers, military, where are they going to go to deal with their issues? Alcohol, pharmaceuticals. And by the way, I take, for my depression, I take a general anxiety medication. It's an SSRI. I'm not here to promote medication. I'm not a doctor at all. I believe that people need to be evaluated by a medical professional and get the help that they need. But I just happen to be taking this because a dear friend of mine who shares my disease, who also is a nurse, told me that it was a game changer in her life. And so game changers are big to me. I get like, wow, game changers. So I did about 6 months ago. It's one of the best things I ever did. So I do that, and I use my medical cannabis. But isn't it amazing that this is called Rick Simpson oil? And I told you the other day in the first video, it's 50% CBD, 50% THC. People can't take this on their days off. Imagine if you have a really bad shift, right? They can't have a little bit of this on their days off. They can't do anything like this naturally to lower it. Why? I mean, I know guys that are on the job right now that during their interview process, they admitted that they smoked cannabis over 200 times and they're on the job, but they can't do it during their career. And the worst thing that ever happened when it comes to medical cannabis, cannabis in general. When I served as union president, I represented a lot of people during disciplinary processes. And I used to always pride myself that if I couldn't get you the best outcome, then you're probably in a lot of trouble and I couldn't help you. And I had a guy who had a dirty drug screen. We used to get tested randomly. He had a dirty drug screen. He had 28 years on the job. He was an EMS captain, one of the most respected members of our organization. EMS captains, they run in these autonomous rigs, and they're like ER doctors when they show up. They give you that level of comfort that it's going to be okay. We're going to help you take care of this patient because things are really critical right now. He was that guy. Not only that, he was one of the best EMS instructors we've ever had. And the city showed him the door. They gave him the opportunity to resign. He resigned. He resigned because he said, I got to be honest, I did it. But all he was doing is saying, hey, I need something to help me relax on my days off. We have to change our way of thinking. We have to change our way of thinking and develop policies that are good for people so that when people come into the workforce, they come in with a sense of, it's okay, everything's going to be okay, and even if I get into a jam, that this place is going to be there for me.
Let's not give people the door. Let's help people. Let's help people with their depression, anxiety. And remember, there's a lot of people working out there today that are in very, very stressful environments. Let's make sure we're taking care of them. Thank you and have a great day. Love to all.